Hi, everybody. My name's Marcy Morgan, and I'm with M&M Business Solutions, and M&M stands for Marcy Morgan. And I'm excited today to bring to you Business Sense 101 before I open my doors. I find that people just dive into business because they're excited about a concept or an idea, but they get in there and then they're kind of lost and they don't know what to do. So I've created this class um, to help you along the way because there's some key people that you need to talk to and some key questions to ask before getting started and opening your business. Now, let's say you've already started. That's okay. This class is primarily designed for those folks that have been in business for a year or less. So, hopefully it'll pull things together for you and give you resources of where you need to go. Now, a little bit about myself. I have two businesses. I've been a personal financial analyst for over 18 years. That means I help people with their investments and their retirement and college planning and protection needs and helping them shelter money for taxes. The other business is M&M Business Solutions. And under M&M Business Solutions, I have my life coaching. I'm an author, I'm a speaker, and I'm a trainer. And the book that I wrote is called 13 Interactive Challenges to Self-Discovery. If you choose to look it up on Amazon, you can just type in my first name, Marcy, Marshie, and you'll find the book. Also, I'm a college professor and I teach culinary arts. So I have a very diverse background and I'm bringing everything that I know from business to you in the comfort of your own home. So thank you so much for spending time with me for about an hour or so today in class. You is whatever your success story is from applying the material, please share that with me. Drop me a line on my Facebook or my website. I love to hear success stories, and I love to see that I'm bringing value to you and that it's making a difference, because that's the reason I do what I do, is to help you get where you want to go, which is that next level. Open my doors. Before I get started, where do I begin? Who do I talk to? What do I need? I'm here to help you. Now, before you open the door to your business could have double glass doors. It could be in a skyscraper. It could be in the middle of your living room. It could be where there is no door. It could be your web page where you're doing all of your business through your computer off the web. So understand that you can have any kind of door you want. Now, you're going to ask, seek, and find. I believe in the scripture Matthew 7:7. And what it says is ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. And knock and the door will be open to you. Those of you that took that actually you sat there and you looked and you found a class and you said, yeah, that's what I'm looking for. That's what I need. Well, guess what? You knocked on the door, boom, here you are. You're spending some time with me today to actually get some information. So that's awesome. I'm not here to preach to you, so don't get concerned. However, I am a woman of faith. So you're going to ask yourself some key questions. What kind of business will I have? Where will my business be located? Location, 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 location. You've heard it many times. A location can make or break you. How will I handle cash flow? What is cash flow? Who will do the books and handle the taxes? What about benefits? Where do I get help? These questions that I'm going to be covering in depth. Okay. Those questions are what we're going to talk about today. Okay, the first person that you're going to want to talk to is a lawyer. And the lawyer is going to help you with your company structure. And you're going to find out what is going to be best for you. Now, if you're self-employed, more than likely you're a sole proprietor. However, you could be self-employed and have a partnership. Now, not one is better than the other. They all have pros and cons to them. A sole proprietor means just you. So like M&M Business Solutions, it's just me. I'm a sole proprietor. I'm not in business with anyone, and I call all the shots. Now, there's pros and negatives with that because I don't know everything. And sometimes a partner can be that other link for you to enhance your business because you have two minds versus one. But your lawyer is going to set up your company structure. So let's go on and talk about a partnership. A partnership is where two or more people come together. And it kind of can help with capital. Let's say one has the expertise, but the other one has the money. And so they come into business together as a partnership. Then there is a corporation, and that's where you become incorporated, where you actually own shares in the business and you have a board. Now, you have your sole proprietorship, okay, and then you have your partnership. There could be just a general partnership where it's 50-50, or it's a percentage of the partnership. Then there's limited. And what limited means is, think of it like this. If you were going to open up a restaurant, a real high-end restaurant, but you don't know the first thing about cooking. You don't know anything about recipes or working in the kitchen or what a Hobart is, and you're going, oh. So you get a chef, a top-notch chef, and you say, hey, we're going to let you be a partner, but it's limited. And so you're going, okay, I will be your chef, and these are the terms, but I'm not going to have as much liability as you other partners. I'm just going to be the one that's doing the everyday running the restaurant, or just the one cooking. So the thing is it's limited, and you can set up your business that way, but you would want a lawyer to draw up papers. Also, when you get into a partnership, it is important that a written agreement takes place. Can you do it by shaking hands? Yes. Do I advise that? No. Am I a lawyer? No. However, it is good common business cumin to get a written agreement. You always want to get your stuff in writing. Then there is a limited liability company, which is an LLC. You can be a sole proprietor or a partnership and have an LLC. And what that LLC does is give you protection. I'm going to minimize my screen here so you can actually see me a little better. An LLC gives you protection because when you're just a sole proprietor, let's say you're a business trainer and you've been training people and everybody loves you, but then you get that one person that ends up hurting themselves on the equipment. And they come to you and say, hey, I got hurt because you didn't train me properly on how to use this equipment. Well, guess what? They can sue you personally, meaning they can come after your house and everything that you own, come after you, okay? and they can come after the company. Whereas with an LLC, all they can come after is the company, the business. So it's a protection, it's a safeguard for you. Now, you can also have an LLC with a partnership, because without an LLC, okay, what can happen is, let's say the same scenario. You're a personal trainer, one of you handles boot camp, the other person handles, the food and nutrition, and then y'all kind of split the duties of classes and personal training. Well, one of you didn't bother to tell them that, check your pulse, and if you're about to have a heart attack out on the track, to stop running. Okay. So they sue you. They sue both of you. So both of your houses, both of your personal belongings are at risk without an LLC. So a lawyer helps you draw up those papers. Okay, so that's very important. The next thing is let's say you do a corporation where you actually incorporate. That is a safeguard for you, because that means that there is no mistaking. It's where they can only attack or sue the company. So the company is only liable, not any of your personal stuff. Normally, what will happen is they will determine whether you go LLC or incorporation, kind of based on what your annual sales are. So you kind of, if you're new to business and you're pretty much running less than 50,000 a year, then that means you probably want to go an LLC. But anything past that, you may want to incorporate. And that's where you have a board and you elect yourself the chair of the board, right? And you're the president. It's just more of a safeguard for you. If you want to go public with your business and sell stocks and get investors, that is one thing you'll have to do, is become incorporated, to become a corporation. Now you can have an LLC and still have an S Corp or a C Corp. Let me get you back to these slides. So with a corporation, you can have an LLC and still have an S or a C Corp. I can't go into details about all of that because obviously I'm not an attorney, I'm not a lawyer, and I'm not here to give you legal advice nor tax advice today. Nor am I able to do that at any given time. Okay, so you're going to ask the banker a few things. The banker, you're going to, the banker plays an integral role in opening a business because, number one, it can impact your cash flow. You have to pick the right bank. You're going to have to determine what to charge, understand the numbers, budget and forecasting, and financial calculators. Now, I'm going to get off of this screen because I want to show you some things or explain some things to you. First of all, it's very important when you're picking a bank that you go get yourself 3 quotes. And what do I mean by that? You're going to ask the bank some key questions, and we're going to go over that here in a little bit. And you're going to go ask 3 different banks or credit unions or community banks these key questions because you want to compare apples to apples, and you want to know for sure, is it a good fit? Because once you pick your bank, you're kind of married to them, and it becomes a little bit more difficult to go switching banks. I'm not saying that you can't, but it becomes very messy with your financials. So Just make sure that you start out on the right foot with the right bank. All right. Determining what to charge. I don't know if you're aware of this, but only 1 in 5 businesses actually make it to the 5-year mark. And I don't want to see you. This is why I'm teaching this class primarily. I don't want to see you be the one that spends thousands of dollars, takes money out of your 401k, your retirement, mortgages your house, makes loans, and then you're belly up in 2 years. I don't want to see that happen. So I'm hoping that you've got your notepad out and that you're taking some notes today, because I'm trying to give you some information so you're not a casualty along the way. I want to make sure that you worked hard for your money and that you are able to stay in business. No matter what your business is, your money, you've worked very hard for it, and I want to make sure that you make money, that you make a profit, that you get to the next level. That's what I'm about. And so I hope that you're taking notes. So we have to know what to charge, and we have to understand the numbers. So don't be scared of the math, okay? Because I'm going to take you to a financial calculator that's going to help you, okay? But you do have to understand what to charge. And what I mean by that is you'll hear the word margin. You know, like in jewelry, you might have 100% markup or 100% margin. But in your industry, it might only be a very small margin of 10%. In the restaurant business, there's only a 4% margin to make a profit. That's not very much wiggle room to actually be successful. So you have to understand your numbers, you have to understand cash flow, and you have to understand budgeting and forecasting to really maximize that 4%. Now, some businesses, it could be up to 20%, some even greater. But not all of us in business have that luxury. So you have to know what your number is. Sure, you can pick a number right out of the air, but that doesn't mean that it's the right number. You have to know what your competitor is charging, and you need to know why your competitor is charging what they're charging. Some of you are going budgeting and forecasting. What in the world? Marcy, I just want to make my necklaces and jewelry. Man, I don't do any of that. I don't want to mess with that. That's why direct sales is nice, because there's a back office, a back corporation that handles that stuff for you. But understand, you still need to know your numbers. And the reason you need to know your numbers is if it takes you $5,000 to live on, your living expenses, and then it takes you another $5,000 for your business expenses, you need to know, okay, how much do I really need to come in sales to make my bare bones minimum? So let's give an example here. Let's say you need that $5,000, right? But every $100 that you bring in, you get they pay you. Here you go. Here's $100. Okay. Well, is that $100 really $100? It's not. So don't get excited. What's going to happen is there's something called taxes. Taxes, 30%. So you're going to end up, oops. Okay, now $30 is gone. Now what? Oh, you mean I had to buy some stuff? I had some expenses to earn the $100. Okay, there went another $33. So here I am with 30-something dollars in my pocket. Oh, and I went and bought lunch. Okay, so now I'm down to $20. So you really didn't earn 100. You only earned 20. So you can't go spending, woohoo, I got all these hundreds coming in. because in reality, you only have 20s coming in. So you need to understand your numbers, because if you don't, you can run yourself into the ground without understanding that concept. Now, budgeting and forecasting. Budgeting is understanding what you need to make to pay the rent, to pay the utilities for your business as well as your home. That's why a home business is very attractive, because you only have one set of rent, one set of utilities. So working out of your house is a nice alternative in beginning your business. Now, is that going to work for everybody? No, but you want to try and keep those expenses as minimized as possible. So forecasting, let's look at a florist, for instance. A florist, you know that they're going to sell lots of roses at Valentine's, and they're going to sell lots of flowers at Mother's Day. So they are forecasting out, going, okay, my sales are going to triple in these 2 months, in February and May. They're going to triple, and that might be the money they need to sustain themselves for the rest of the year. But understand, even though the money's coming, woohoo, everybody's buying roses and I've got that markup on them and life is going good. Well, this is what's happening though. On the other hand, they've got expenses that are going, I got to buy those roses. I have to buy tissue paper. I have to add someone to the payroll to deliver those roses. I'm having to buy thank you cards. I'm having to buy all this stuff. So when you have your sales and you have your expenses and you subtract that, okay, what's left? Now, if you've done your job correctly, a profit, and that profit is going to be good and sustain you for a few months, which is awesome. Good job. But if you don't understand the forecasting and understand that in March, you've got a lull, you're not going to have any flowers, and then you have all these bills coming in because of February, because they hit you in March, you could have a problem if you went and spent all that money that was coming in so fast. So just because you're getting money coming in right and left does not necessarily mean that it's all yours. Okay? So I want to share my desktop with you. Calculators, but the one you are most interested in is sales and this margin calculator. Now over here you see all these formulas and you're going, yuck, what is all this? I didn't sign up for math. Well, that's why I'm taking you to the calculator, because the calculator will tell you your gross margin. It's doing the math for you. So let's say in this example, the cost of something cost $50. Okay. And your revenue, what you're going to charge for it, is $250. That means that's a gross margin of 80%. Okay. 400% markup, and you made a profit of $200. So you can play with that margin calculator. There is a sales calculator. There's a list price markdown calculator. Let's say you want to mark something down. You want to run a discount. Well, what is it going to be, right? Let's say your gross margin is 20%. It cost you $100, and you want to mark it down 20%. Okay, so what it's doing is it's saying, all right, list price required. Your markdown, $31. It's giving you your answer. Now, depending on what your business is, will depend on what those percentages are. And you'll know whether you're, out, whether you're way out of line. Sales tax calculator, let's say it's $100 and your tax is 8.25, which is around here in these parts. It's going to be 108.25. So this is an important calculator soup is an awesome place to go to find your numbers. And I highly recommend that you do that for everything that you sell, especially when you're first starting out in business, because what happens is prices change and they fluctuate. And if you leave your prices just flatlined all the time, guess what? You're probably losing money. And you don't want that to happen, because remember what I said, only 1 out of 5 businesses make it. And I want you to be the one. I want you to be the one that says, hey, I did my homework. I got on that calculator and I figured it out. It did the math for me, but at least I know that I'm charging what I'm supposed to be charging, and I'm charging fairly and reasonably for what it is that I'm selling. And you can use that calculator. You can go to those calculators and play with them and manipulate the numbers. Some things in your business, you will have an extremely high markup. And then other things, you will have a very small margin, and there's not much you can do about it. But it's one of those things that people want and they need, and you're not making a profit on it. For instance, I have a client that works, he installs home theater systems, high dollar home theater systems. And they'll call and say, hey, can you buy me a TV? And he's going, oh God, I don't really want to go buy you a TV. I make no money on a TV. And he'll just tell them, hey, it's better for you to go shop around, go to Best Buy, go to Costco, go to Sam's, because you'll end up buying a TV. If I have to go buy it for you, I'm going to have to mark it up. And then, it's the same TV. So just go and get your own TV. Now, I'll install it, I'll hang it up, I'll do whatever you need me to do. If you don't, maybe I will, but understand I'm for my time and my labor. And most times people will go, oh, you know what? I'll just go buy my own TV. Okay? Because he makes nothing on it. He actually loses money when he's selling the television. And there will be things with that in your business that you have to go, okay, what do I need to do? Okay. Some things like shipping, for instance. Let's say you have that online business and you have shipping. Well, you could do it by price mark, what the item costs, or you could do it by weight, but you could actually build in a profit, and a nice comfy profit on shipping. And you may be going, really? Yeah. Or you could say shipping and handling, or shipping and then there's a service charge on top of it, extra money to you. So you just have to understand that. Like for me, I have to mail out certificates, okay? And I charge for that. I actually charge because it costs me to drive to the post office. It costs me to mail it. It costs me for the envelope. I know the total cost. And that's very important that you understand that concept. It's not just, oh, you mail the certificate. No. There's cost involved with that. It used to take me 15 minutes one way to get to the post office. So that was costing me gas to actually mail that certificate, not to mention my time. Okay. And then the envelope was 15 cents. And then you add on to mail the certificate, and to send that certificate certified was like $3 or $4. And so I was like, you know what? I have to charge for this. I can't not charge for handling of these certificates. And so I've charged $10, which is, basically what it was costing me to do. And now I did add a little dollar in there for me because of my time. I never recouped my time because my time is worth a lot more than $10. So you need to keep those things in mind. All right, let's get back to our slides. Before you open your doors to your business, so you want to go to that calculator soup because that is under the sales, because that will really help you. You're going to ask your banker about a DBA, and you might be going, what's a DBA? I'm going to tell you. Federal tax ID, you're going to pick a bank, loans, lines of credit, checking, debit, and credit cards, and cash flow. Okay, a DBA. A DBA is something called doing business as. So let me tell you a story. When I very first started M&M Business Solutions, I didn't know about this. So I got my first check, they gave it to me, and I was like, woohoo, I got paid $64. Yay, I got paid. And then I take it to the bank, and I'm like, okay, I want to cash it. And they're like, sorry, can't cash it. And I'm like, huh? What? I'm Marcy Morgan for M&M Business Solutions. And they're like, nope. You can't cash it. And I was like, okay, this is not good. I'm not working for free. What do I do? What do I do? And so they said, well, you have to go to the courthouse and get registered as doing business as Marcy Morgan. Doing business as M&M Business Solutions. And I was like, oh, when do they close? Because I need this money. And they said, oh, they close in about an hour. Where is it? Where do I go? And they said, oh, you got to drive about 20 miles down the road. It's going to take you about 20 minutes. And I'm like, oh, God. So I'm hauling butt down the highway and I'm going, okay. And I get to the courthouse and I can't find the room. And I'm like, okay, I got this money and I what do I do? What do I do? And they're like, okay, ma'am, calm down. It's okay. You're going to fill out some forms and you're going to pay us some money. And, we'll get you registered and you can go back to the bank and you give them this piece of paper saying that you are Marcy Morgan doing business as M&M Business Solutions, and they will actually cash your check. And I'm like, okay, good. Right? So I'm trying to save you a step. I'm trying to save you some, okay? So if you're going to use a different name for your business and you're a sole proprietor or a partnership, you have to be registered as doing business as. Now, how much does that cost, Marcy? Well, for me, it ended up costing about $15. I can't say what it's going to be in your jurisdiction, what it's going to be at your municipality, because each place can charge whatever they want and they make their own rules. So I can't tell you exactly. The federal tax ID, okay, or your SSN number. When you go into the bank, they're like, okay, do you want a business account? And you're like, oh yeah, I got my own business. I want that. Now, if you're a sole proprietor, you can get a business account or a separate checking account and just know that that particular checking account is for your business. But the bank is going to ask you for your social security number, or they're going to ask for your federal tax ID number. When it comes time for tax time, they ask for that federal tax ID or your EIN number. Your EIN number is your employer identification number. I mentioned to you that you're going to pick your bank. You need to compare 3 banks. I find that community banks and credit unions are easier to work with being a small business, because you want them to know who you are. When you go into the bank, you want them to see you, know you, and say, hey, Marcy, how are you doing today? Great. And then if you have a question, you can go ask them. You're actually working with a banker. Because if you need a loan or you need some lines of credit because you're having a cash flow issue, you want to be able to go in there and they know who you are, so you have a better chance of getting it. If you go into a big bank, they don't know who you are. They're going to ask all your numbers and go, no, sorry. No. Cash flow. Cash flow, cash flow. Oh my gosh. I find that cash flow can get businesses in trouble faster than anything. And the reason cash flow gets people in trouble is simply because they don't understand their numbers. They don't understand, okay, I received $100 in sales, but then I had to pay tax. Then I had to pay the business expenses to buy that product to then turn around and sell it. And then I went and ate because I like to eat. So they don't understand that the 100 really isn't 100. It's only 20. And understand cash flow can be a problem. And with the bank, there's some things that you have to ask the bank. And this can really get you messed up in a hurry. Okay. Let's say you're a business, and I'll go back to the home theater systems. We install high-end equipment where we could get a check for $15,000, $20,000 on just one client. And you would like to know that you go take that check to the bank that you can turn around and go spend some money, right? You want to go to dinner, you want to take whomever out and impress them a little bit. Hey man, I've got it going on. Uptown funk, right? Well, the next thing you know, you've written a check, you paid your utilities, you paid your mortgage, blah, blah, blah. And then the phone starts ringing and they say, oops, you're overdrawn. You've got hot checks out there. You're bouncing checks. What? I just put $10,000 in there. What happened? What are you telling me? The bank says you don't have any money. What the crap do you mean? The bank says I don't have any money. I just went down there yesterday and gave them a deposit of $10,000. What do you mean? And so now you've got all these bounce checks, and then they're going to charge you $30, $35. The bank is for bouncing a check. And then the people that you wrote the check to are having to pay. And then they want you to pay their fee. Okay. And it becomes this nightmare, becomes this big, messy, bad day, bad hair day. Okay. Not a good thing. So what happened is the bank said, oh, that's $10,000. We put a hold on that for 7 days. Nope, you don't really have any money. Excuse me? What do you mean I don't have any money? Or this happens. You put the $10,000 in and you're trying to pay your crew, because let's say you're a landscaping business or, your employees at your boutique, and they're like, sorry, we went to the bank and they said that there's no money in the bank. What? I just deposited money. Cash flow issue. Okay. Your bank can make or break you. So you need to know, what are the rules of your bank? Are they going to say, oh, no, we're going to hold on to that money for 7 to 10 days? Or are they going to release it? Or are they going to say, well, we're going to do a trial period to kind of see what your business is, because they want to make sure you're not money laundering. And you're going, okay. Or let's say you have a vending machine business. Are they going to take your change? Are they going to charge you for the change? Are they going to put it in the little machine and charge? Do they even have one of those machines? So based on your business, you need to ask some key questions, because they can really put you in a bind. Next question you want to ask them, do they have overdraft protection? So let's say they hold that check, right? That $10,000 check for 7 days. And you went out and you forgot about it. Okay, and you wrote payroll. Overdraft protection would ensure that those people could cash their check and they would never know. Overdraft protection can cover your assets in more ways than one, because the last thing you want are good people going, who am I working for? And they're going to go start looking for another job. If you can't pay them and they're counting on getting that money so they can pay their rent and pay their bills and put food in their kids' mouths, and trust me, you won't be in business long if you can't hold on to good quality people, because you're only as good as the people you surround yourself with. Okay. Um, Debit and credit cards, are they charging out the nose for them? Your merchant services, do you want to use merchant services? Do you want to use PayPal? Do you want to use Square? How are you going to handle credit cards? Understand, working with your bank, you're kind of become married to them. So please go get yourself 3 quotes. And the other thing about the bank, what about their hours of operation? Are they open on Saturday? If you're a landscaping company, you're probably mowing grass on the weekends. You'd want to be able to cash those checks on Saturday. You're like, oh yeah, I need to cash those checks so I can pay the guys. The thing is, if the bank's not open, I ended up switching banks once because they were closed on Saturday. I was like, what do you mean you're closed on Saturday? You should be here for me, not me here for you. The other thing is I travel a lot training because I train live. I'm just now bringing my classes online because I realize that to get to more people that need my expertise, I needed to get the classes online. So I'm in a lot of locations. Well, I want to put that money in the bank right away. So the next question is, do they have mobile banking? Do they have where I can take a picture of my check? Okay, on my smartphone now, it's saving me hundreds of dollars. I mean, because I can take a picture of the check. I live 30 minutes away from my bank. I actually live 30 minutes from the grocery store. It's crazy, but I live out in the country and I love it. I love the solitude. But by me doing that, I'm not having to get in the car, take an hour trip to go to the bank, come back. That's saving me gas. It's saving me time. So what is it that you need? Your online banking. Are you going to see check images of your checks that you receive? All of those things. What are the hidden fees? Those things regarding your bank make a huge difference when it comes down to your cash flow. Okay. All right. Ask the banker. The banker will tell you where to go for your DBA. For me in Burnett County, it was $15. I can't say for you. It could be hundreds. I'm not sure. Your federal tax ID number. Where you go for that is www.irs.gov. And it's also known as an EIN number. So don't freak out. It's the same term. Your federal tax ID number is the same as your EIN number. You go to the IRS webpage for that. So you're picking your bank, okay, based on hours of operation, lines of credit, their fees. Will they give you a loan? Will they give you a line of credit to get you out of a jam if you need to? Checking and locations. If there's no locations for your bank of where you're at, I mean, that becomes an issue for you. And it did become an issue for me. I lived way out and my bank wasn't there. And I had done a little research and they said, oh, well, we've got an ATM machine. And I'm like, okay. And I said, do you take deposits? And they said, oh, yeah, we take deposits in the ATMs. And I was like, okay, great. So I go into the Walgreens and I'm like, okay, I'll just be able to do my banking through this ATM machine. Come to find out, that particular ATM machine did not take deposits. So I would have to drive an hour to the bank. I ended up having to pick a local bank. Now, I ended up leaving that bank because they closed on Saturdays. They weren't in all the locations that I needed. They were constantly giving me all of these fees and just yanking me around. And I said, I've moved. I'm going to go to my bank. And that's what I ended up doing. Now, it took some time to do, but I ended up doing it. So I'm telling you, your banker and your lawyer are critical for your business. The next person that is, a CPA is worth their weight in gold. Okay, I'm going to say that again. Your CPA is worth their weight in gold, because what they do is handle your taxes, and their job is to have you not pay as much. It's their job to figure out, okay, how do I save this person money? Okay, so they're worth their weight in gold. So you have to ask yourself, how do I handle the books and taxes? Am I going to use QuickBooks, or am I going to use Peachtree? Am I going to use a specialized software? If you're dealing with oil and gas, you may need to use a special software. If you have a high, multifaceted business where you've got several companies, you may need a special software. And, but for most of us, QuickBooks or Peachtree will work. Now, people will ask me, well, which one, Marcy? Should I go with Peachtree or should I go with QuickBooks? It's a personal preference. I've worked in both of them. Me personally, I like QuickBooks better. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with Peachtree. It just means that I kind of like QuickBooks better. And it's just because I've worked with it more. Now, QuickBooks offers 2 different programs. And those programs are, one's online and one is on your desktop. Now, the one online is very beneficial to people. If you're out traveling and you pretty much have an office in your car, QuickBooks can be very nice because you can do your invoices and it saves everything instantaneously. So you can get to your banking, you can get to your invoicing, you can get to your statements, anything that you're needing is right there on the computer, on your laptop, in your car. Okay, it's there. Even on your tablet. I actually got QuickBooks on my tablet. So, or you can have your desktop version, but understand they're 2 separate programs. They're not integrated. They're 2 separate, and they have pluses and minuses for both of them. So you'll need to call QuickBooks if you choose that. Peachtree may have something similar. I'm not aware of it. Okay, taxes. Your CPA is designed to help you with taxes. So there's all kinds. There's sales tax, 1099, excess tax, 941, 940, income tax, estimated tax, employment taxes, Social Security tax, and Medicare. And you're going, oh my gosh, all these taxes. What's happened? It was so much easier being an employee. Yeah, it was easier being an employee. Because with an employee, your employer paid half and you paid half, and you didn't mess with any of this stuff. But as a result, they say higher the risk, higher the return. When you go into business for yourself, you get all the profit. And I'm a firm believer in what Jim Rohn says. Profits are better than wages. Profits are better than wages. So your CPA, I can't say this enough, They're everything for you. Um, Now, you may not want to pay a CPA to handle your day-to-day books, and you don't have to, but you need to think twice. Do I hire just an office manager to do that? They might not be at the skill set that you need for your financials. If you're just going to pay somebody $10 to do your financials, you get what you pay for. That's what I'm going to say about that. I mean, I do somebody's books, and when I do their books, I'm charging a lot more than $10 an hour. I'm not going to tell you how much I charge, but it's significantly more than that, because I'm not going to do someone's books because of my knowledge, because of my skill set. I bring way too much to the table, so I'm not going to. So just understand, you get what you pay for. Now, this is the other thing, and you need to understand this. If you want your accountant to do your stuff for you, do not go to the accountant at tax time. Okay? And say, here's all my receipts in the box. Okay? They don't like that. They will charge you out the nose for that. Or they'll just say, I'm sorry, I can't work with you. I'm not doing it. Same thing if you hire someone to do your books for you and it's tax time and you're going, hey, I need all this right now. I won't take the job because it's crazy. There's not enough hours in the day for me to do it. And if you're just giving people receipts all at one time at the end of the year and say, okay, it's tax time. Oh, and I need that by next week. Expect to pay. You're going to pay. You need to be a little organized. For what that's worth, just don't do that to a CPA or someone that handles your books. That is very legitimate. If you get someone that says $10 an hour, they're so desperate that they'll say yes. But understand, you get what you pay for, and it's not going to be what you think. Now, with your taxes, or your books, I should say, there are two different ways to handle it. There's cash basis and there's accrual basis. Most people that don't have inventory use cash basis. For example, I'm on cash basis because I don't have any inventory. My financial services, I don't have any inventory. With M&M Business Solutions, I'm training, I'm speaking, I don't really have any inventory. However, if you're a retail shop, you have inventory, so you're going to be on accrual. Cash basis. Cash method is simple in that the business books are kept based on the actual flow of cash in and out of the business. Income is recorded when it is received, and expenses are reported when they're actually paid. The cash method is used by many sole proprietors and businesses with no inventory. From a tax standpoint, it is sometimes advantageous for a new business to use the cash method of accounting. That way, the recording income can be put off until the next tax year while expenses are counted right away. Understand, whether you go cash basis or accrual, you can go from cash basis to accrual, but going from accrual to cash, your accountant's going to go, nope, you're already married to it. So you can't flip-flop is what I'm saying. You can't go from cash to accrual, from accrual to cash. It doesn't work that way. You have to pick one and pretty much stick with it. Now, if your business grows and you end up having inventory and you started with cash, you can go to accrual. But going from accrual to cash, it's very tricky, and most CPAs are going to tell you no. So now let's see what accrual is. Accrual basis is an accounting method that records revenues and expenses when they are incurred, regardless of when cash is exchanged. The term accrual refers to any individual entry recording revenue or expense in the absence of a cash transaction. So, in other words, what that means is let's say I've got a bill here. Here's Scott and White, okay? Medical bill, okay? I got the bill. I've inputted it into QuickBooks. That's accrual, meaning there it is. I haven't paid for it. There hasn't been an exchange of cash. So once that check's issued, right? But once I've entered it in the system, it's already showing that I owe the bill. So it's accrual. Same thing, if I've added inventory, that's showing that I have assets. Okay? That I have assets. But not necessarily in cash. That's not how it works. Cash means, here's the bill. When I write the check and they cash it, that's when it hits the books. Or someone paid me $100. They gave me a $100 check. Okay. As soon as I get that $100 check and I put it in the bank, that's cash. If I write that invoice and I give it to the customer, but they wait to pay me for 30, 45 days, on the books, it shows in accrual that I've already received the money. In reality, I haven't gotten it yet. Okay, so two separate accounting methods, and your CPA will tell you which. All right, you need to write these down. You have to know this. Estimated tax. Okay, let me explain to you what estimated tax is. Okay, estimated tax. When you were an employee for someone, they took taxes out, right? And you were like, man, I am fed up with this. I am tired of giving all my money to the government. Well, the reality is you were only paying half of the taxes owed to the government. Okay, so you were paying this much and the employer was paying the other half. And so you were always asking your employer, hey, can I have a raise? Can I have a raise? And they're going, right? Because they're paying the other half of the taxes plus all the other taxes that are involved. And so when you're an employee, it was less tax. And so then once you become self-employed or you have your own business or become a partnership, you're going, we're paying how much in taxes? So again, your CPA is there to help you minimize and reduce the amount that you're paying in taxes. So let's go back to that slide, because you need to make sure that you write this down. You need to know this. Payment due dates on your estimated tax. Just because you went into business for yourself doesn't mean that you don't owe the tax anymore. You do, and you owe more because now you have to pay both. Payment due dates. The first payment is April 15th, June 15th, September 15th, and January 15th. If your payments are late or you did not pay enough, you may be charged a penalty. And they go, naughty, naughty. You didn't pay us. You didn't pay us on the due date. And so what we're going to do is we're going to penalize you. What they also can do is say, oop, we're going to charge you interest. Let me make sure that you see this. They can charge you interest and a late fee. And that interest is compounding daily. So it's interest on top of interest on top of interest on top of interest. They're charging you a late penalty fee and then a late fee for being late. Okay? You never want to tangle with the IRS ever. Please hear me loud and clear. Pay your taxes on time. Be nice to your CPA because they help you stay away from trouble. And the last thing you want is to ever get in this perpetual paying late fee, because the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing over there at the IRS. And as a result, it takes a long time to get it straightened out. And they don't care whether you knew or didn't know that you owed tax or that you owed these different taxes at different times. So make sure that you write down these dates, okay? Because you need them. Okay. All right. Now, I want you to understand something with estimated tax. It's not done quarterly. There's 4 payments, but it's not done quarterly. So don't fall into this trap, okay? It's very important that you understand this. The first payment is for the months of January, February, and March. That's 3 months. The second payment is only 2 months, April and May. The third payment is June, July, and August, which is 3 months. And then the fourth payment is September, October, November, and December, which is 4 months. So it's not based on quarterly. It's based on their formula. So make sure that you're writing this down and make sure that you know the due dates, because those due dates are critical. Now, the other thing about the due dates that you have to know about is the fact, like April 15th, depending on how that falls on the calendar, it could fall on the weekend. They might say, oh, you can pay by April 17th. And I'm telling you right now, do not fall into that trap. You need to always think, yes, it's due on the 15th, but I better have that money in by the 13th of April. You want to always be thinking the 13th to pay your taxes, because those extra couple of days could get you all screwed up and messed up. Just always think of it as it's due on the 13th. Okay, because the holiday can affect it, as well as the day of the week that the calendar day falls on. So just always, when it comes to your taxes, be very, very conservative and pay on the 13th, because if you pay it on the 13th and you do it electronically, you have just a day or two to fix or correct something. So just get yourself in the habit right now and make a decision right now that you're going to pay on the 13th, that the date is the 13th of when you need to have that done. Because the last thing you want to do is go scrambling around and time gets away from you and you forget. And that's why you want to hire someone to do your books, to make sure that your taxes get paid timely, because different taxes happen all throughout the month. And if you're not paying attention, you're going to miss one of them. And let me tell you, they're not forgiving. So just, take care of your bookkeeper, okay, and take care of your CPA, because they're the ones that are making sure that you stay out of trouble and save you money on taxes. I've already told you, I'm an investment advisor. Ask your investment advisor. Remember, your CPA is the one dealing with taxes, and your investment advisor is the one that handles all of these things that we're about to talk about. They handle healthcare. insurance, dental, long-term care, short-term disability, um, long-term care, other benefits. Okay, like are they gonna offer long-term care, prepaid legal, adult daycare, child care, tuition, vacation, sick time? Are you going to offer a concierge service? If you work for a highfalutin CPA firm or a law office, you don't have time necessarily to go to the dry cleaner. So they might say, we'll pick up your dry cleaning. We'll have someone take care of that. Or they'll offer a concierge service to take care of some of your household errands that you have to do, that everyone has to do. They'll like go pick up prescriptions or go here or go there for you. And that's a benefit. Retirement. SEP IRAs, which are self-employment plans, IRAs, they are designed to protect you from taxes. 401k, profit sharing. Let me close that because I want to cover some things with you. An investment advisor is the one that says, I can't tell you which one that's going to protect you the most from taxes. That is the CPA's job. And the CPA says, hey, this is what you need to do. And I set up the vehicle. So, for instance, the CPA might say, it is better for you to have a SEP IRA versus a Roth IRA. Whereas I might have a different mindset and say, okay, you need to do your Roth IRA first and then do your SEP. Because they're all designed to protect you from taxes. And that's what we want to do. We want to help you save money. An investment advisor, for sure, wants to help you save money so you have money at retirement, because it doesn't do you any good to go spend all of your money. And then when it comes down to retirement, you can't tear off a piece of paper and go buy groceries. You're going to have cash in the bank. You're going to have cash. And that's my job, is to make sure that you have money out there in the future. So there's different vehicles. If you have employees, do you want to set up profit sharing? Do you want to set up a 401k? Do you want to set up a SEP IRA for yourself? If you're a sole proprietor, you know, all of those things I set up as a financial representative. Whereas the CPA says, hey, these are the things that you can do. They might say you need a variable annuity. That would be good for you. I set that up. I'm the one that puts the vehicle together. The CPA is the one that says which one. Okay, so the CPA and the investment advisor are working and sometimes overlap, but their information and their expertise is different. I would not begin to tell you how to do financials or audit or anything like that, because that is a CPA's job. Okay, they go into a lot of depth. Whereas me, I know about investments and mutual funds and bonds and different things like that, whereas the CPA doesn't. They don't know the best investment vehicle. That's my job. That's my expertise. So, and today is not about learning about the different investment vehicles or going in depth about that. This is not a solicitation of sales. This is simply education on what you need to ask an investment advisor, because they can help you set up dental plans and insurance plans and retirement plans and different vehicles for your business. And the reason you have these benefits is to retain good quality people. And sometimes you have to entice people. Now you might be saying, Mercy, I can't afford anybody. It's just me. What do I need benefits for? Well, you certainly need retirement because that could help you. For instance, my uncle is a truck driver and he has been for, oh my gosh, I don't know if it's going on 30 years or not, but a long time. And his CPA is like, look, you need to save money on taxes and you need to set up your SEP IRA. And he's going, no, 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 no. And I've been telling him for years, you need to set up your SEP IRA because you need to have money at retirement. Okay. I'm saying you need money at retirement. The CPA is saying, look, you need to save money on taxes. If you would just save this, it would save you $5,000 in taxes if you would just contribute. It's not like you don't have it, but he refuses to do it because he's scared. He doesn't understand the numbers. And what I'm trying to convey to you today is don't be scared of the numbers. That's why you're surrounding yourself with good people like the attorney, the banker, the investment advisor, the CPA. They're there to help you get to the next level. Because if they're not succeeding, if you don't succeed, they don't succeed. If I don't help you grow money and have money at retirement, then I'm not succeeding. I'm not earning anything. I'm not helping you. So don't be scared because it could cost you thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars by not listening. Okay. We're there to help you. And, you know, I don't know about you, but I don't like paying any more in taxes than I have to. And so I like to make sure that I have those things in place, all the places that I can have a deduction. And that's what the CPA will help you with is deductions. Okay. Ask a consultant. This is pretty much your final spot of a person, or it could be a couple of people. A consultant is a person that has expertise in your industry of what you're doing, whether it's restaurants or whether it's lawn care or financials or whatever your business is. They are there to help you get to that next level. And you do need additional help. And it's okay if you have to ask for help. I'm a certified life coach. I'm a business mentor. I'm a consultant. You know, all those terms kind of overlap. Okay. But what they do is help you get useful information and tools to grow your business, to help you make sure that you don't make mistakes in your business, especially costly ones. So what you've done is you've asked some questions. I want you to pat yourself on the back because you took the time to seek this class and seek information. That's awesome. And so you're seeking, you're asking questions, and you're getting the answers from professionals, the banker, the consultant, the CPA, the lawyer, the investment advisors. Okay? Those people working together for you to get to that next level, to make sure that your business success is a success, to make sure that you are that one that makes it past the 5 years and doesn't lose everything. Because I just don't want to see that happen to you. Okay. I hate it's gut wrenching when I see that for people because they've worked their entire lives to get that money and then it all disappears. And it's so sad. So I'm hoping you took really good notes today. You're going to research. You're going to go to the library. You're going to get online. You're going to go to the Workforce Solutions. You're going to go to the Small Business Administration. Oh, I can't say enough about the Small Business Administration. So you're knocking on doors, right? Knock, 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 knock. Because knocking on the right door can help you get the right answer. we're almost down to the end of the class, and I might not have mentioned, you know, if you have a direct sales business, let's say like Amway or Mary Kay, or selling vitamins or supplements or eyelashes, fingernails, whatever. This class is still applicable to you, because even though there's a back of the house corporation that's actually taking care of things, you're still self-employed. And the bigger you get in your distribution of of the overall inside that business, you still need to protect yourself. You may do so much in business that you need to get that S corp or C corp. And knowing, the bank, etc., all this stuff is still applicable to you, whether you have a brick or mortar or not. If you have a photography business and you work primarily out of your home, this is applicable to you. Whether you are a florist, whether you are a caterer, whether you are a dog groomer or a veterinarian or a doctor or a chiropractor, an acupuncturist, anything that's regarding business, what I am sharing with you today is applicable. All of it is applicable. But again, the class is designed for someone that has just started. But even, let's say, you've been in business for 2 years, you might learn something today, because what I'm about to share with you are some resources. And those resources are huge. So again, knock, knock, and you want to knock before they come knocking. These are government resources. You never want these government entities knocking on your door. Okay. Business Gateway to Federal Resources, Secretary of State Corporate Public Information, the State Comptroller's Office. They're the ones that you pay your sales tax to. The Internal Revenue Service, you pay so many taxes with those guys. Social Security Administration, Texas Workforce Commission, the U.S. Department of Labor Wage and Hour Division, Department of Labor, OSHA. If you're dealing with recycling tires or biohazard material, or you deal, like my uncle that I was telling you about, he has his special truck driving license to be able to carry hazardous waste down the freeway. Texas Department of Insurance. Obviously, I work with them because I'm insurance licensed. Texas Alcoholic Beverage Commission. I work with them because I have to know the rules of TABC, being in the an instructor in culinary arts and different things like that. So I have to know TABC. Entrepreneurial resources, copyright, demographic site, franchising basics, legal forms and software, women business owners. Ladies, hats off, because we're running neck and neck now, and we're surpassing men in business. The Small Business Administration, the U.S. Census Bureau for Demographics, U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. Now, I want to talk to you about demographics and the chamber. But demographics is just this big, long word to say, hey, what's your nationality? What is your education? What income do you earn? What is your education level? Where do you live? What zip code do you live in? Now you might go, well, Marcia, that's just too much information. I don't want to share that information. Well, I hate to break it to you. Everybody's got the information on you. If you're on Facebook, they've got it. They know what size clothes you wear. I mean, they've got it. They know. Now, for a business owner, that's good because you, depending on who your client is, you want to be able to help them. Let's say you're fixing to open up a daycare. And not just any old daycare. Oh, no, no, no. You're going to have after school programs, and you're going to have horseback riding and pony rides, and we're going to have a special farm and different things like that. That's going to cost a little bit more than narrow for people. You're going to want to know the demographics to know who to advertise to. So demographics aren't necessarily a bad thing, but you need to know who your client is. For instance, if I'm a hairdresser and I deal with weaves, okay, who is my customer? I need to go find them. I need to go talk to them. I need to know more about them. And the more detailed demographics that you can get, the more centered in and more focused in that you can get, the more bang for your buck for your advertising dollar. So don't necessarily think demographics is a nasty word, because you need to know. For instance, let's go back to that home theater system. He's installing $50,000 systems. Well, he's not going to want to be in a zip code that's got apartment complexes and college kids in it. He's going to want to be where there's $1 million homes and where $1 million homes are being built, because they have a need for what he sells. A college student's like, man, I just got the couch from off the side of the street because somebody was giving it away. You got to think smart, and demographics helps you. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is your Chamber of Commerce. Your chambers are awesome. And the reason that they're awesome is because you get to meet all the business leaders in the community of where you live and where you do business. So you get to meet insurance people and CPAs and whomever. You're meeting the movers and shakers in your community. Now, I'm a firm believer. You get what you put in. Okay? So you get what you give. All right? So with my chamber, my very first event, I got my first client. Remember I told you about the DBA and I made $64 and I couldn't cash the check? Okay, I made $64 with that client and I never did business with her again. But she called 4.5 years later and said, hey, Marcy, would you like to take over my client? And I'm like, what is it? And she goes, it's doing this guy's books. And I said, all right, I'll think about it. Wow. I took over her client. That has paid me thousands and thousands of dollars. 100-fold has paid for my chamber memberships over the years, because the lady saw me at different events. I would go to the ribbon cuttings, or I would, and when you do the ribbon cuttings, you get your name and your picture in the paper. When you go to the networking and mixers, I got my second client from going to another networking event. So the thing is, your chamber does incredible job for its chamber members. At least in Marble Falls they do. Now, not all chambers are created equal. What you need to understand is that chambers can be different. And there are different chambers. So there's minority chambers. There's the Asian chamber. there's the Hispanic chamber, and there's the women's chamber. So depending on where you live, there could be numerous chambers in that metropolitan area, or there could just be one chamber only, and you'll have to just pick it. Now, the other thing that the chamber will do is give you online exposure, and that's good too. So sometimes they'll let you use their meeting space. For me, my chamber lets me use the meeting space, and that's where I hold and conduct classes. That's huge for my business because I pretty much just work out of my home. And I don't want to pay unnecessary expenses on having an office. Why? I don't need to spend money on that. I don't have any inventory. I go to people. I don't need that, but I need meeting space once a month. And so they allow me to use it because I'm a chamber member. So what I'm getting at is what you put in is what you get out with your chamber, but it is an additional resource for you. They'll have lunch and learns for education. So don't underestimate your Chamber of Commerce because it's a resource and it helps you with your advertising dollars. And I honestly believe that it's worth every dime. Sir, to opening your doors to your business. I want to thank you and just, let you know, thank you so much for spending some time with me. And I hope that I've been helpful and knowledgeable for you. And I want to hear about your success story. So please feel free to reach out to me. And I'm going to take you to one other place real quick, just so Morgan.com. That is where all of my life coaching is and my book. You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and give you a sneak peek of my